Back on the Rob Dibble Show with Ben Darnell on your afternoon drive. Joining us now on the Bobby V's hotline here on Fox Sports Radio, the one and only Dom Amore from the Hartford Courant, covers UConn sports, MLB, all sports, etc. Dom, how are you, sir?
Great, Rob. What's going on?
Been following you on X. Just, you've been talking a lot about the Olympics. Saturday was the first men's basketball practice for UConn men's hoops. The fans got a glimpse of the upcoming trying to, three-peat after back-to-back national championships, and pretty much almost a sold-out crowd. And I think that Dan Hurley and everybody was pretty impressed by the following on an August day in the summertime. What were your thoughts about the fan turnout for the back-to-back champs?
Well, I guess the number that they announced was 3,800 or something, but it felt like there was a lot more in there, so maybe there was a lot more than that. But it's, it's not a surprise when, UConn men is as good as they are. People really aren't interested in a whole lot of other things. It's that's what people basically are marking the days on their calendar until UConn men play again November 6th against Sacred Heart. We know now, so it's not surprising to me that people would skip a beach day and whatever else they might in a cookout or whatever they might have had going on and going to watch them. And it was a good idea to have it. I think anytime they can they could put themselves on display that way, it only helps sell season tickets to those who haven't bought them yet. So, but no, it was. I'm not surprised that there's this kind of enthusiasm. It's our major league. It's our major league team, UConn men, UConn women.
What was the top things that stuck out to you? Maybe some of the newcomers, or just maybe new lineups that you're seeing out there.
Yeah, anybody who thinks they could draw conclusions from these guys playing against each other. It's awfully hard to do. If you watch the football practices, is their offense good or does their defense stink or vice versa? I don't know. But I think what's important here is that the program, although they bring in a lot of transfers and they bring in some really good transfers, and the transfers have played an extremely important part in these two championships, and they will again in whatever they're able to do this year. It's the core guys that they've recruited and developed that really have to perform for this team to have a shot at a three-peat. So I think everyone is pretty encouraged by, Stewart and Ross and even the big guy, Youssef, who didn't play a whole lot last year, and all of those sophomores, along with Caravan, who's the junior. I think that core looked pretty good, and I think that's what everyone's looking for is for those guys that he's brought in as high school kids and developed them, and they've been waiting their turn. That's how you have a program, by the way, that the transfers have their place, but you've got to have kind of that pipeline of one year to another. Guys who sit, wait their turn in the program, develop, and then play when they have the chance to do it. That's the way Jay Wright did it at Villanova, and that's the way I know Danny really wants to do it at UConn, using the transfer portal as more of a supplementary vehicle as opposed to, living off of it.
Tickets go on sale tomorrow for December 14th, UConn versus Gonzaga at Madison Square Garden Stores South. I just want to throw that out there. Women's basketball in the Olympics, they have not lost in 58 games. We're pretty good in a lot of different sports at the Olympics. What have you been keeping an eye on? You've been watching pretty much everything. Scotty Scheffler just won the gold. Gymnastics, we've been great. What have you been keeping an eye on with the Olympics?
Well, obviously I keep an eye on the Connecticut folk because that's really my mandate is to cover that and to keep track of those guys. And I was really happy to see the rowing, Liam Corrigan, who I had a chance to meet and talk to a few years ago when he was in the Yale-Harvard race down at Gales Ferry. Very happy to see him get his gold medal. And Alexis Holmes is from down here in my neck of the woods, is going to be running in the women's 400 meter soon. I'm really anxious to see how she does. And, I think looking at the times, I think she's capable of being very competitive there, coming out with a medal. So I'm kind of looking at the Connecticut guys. And, of course, the women's basketball team, could be a great moment for Nafisa Collier. She's really, everyone's talking about Caitlin Clark. Everyone talks about Stewie. Everyone talks about the newcomers and the old stars. But boy, she's kind of snuck up on people and really become one of the top players in the world, leading Minnesota into one of the best records in the league. And so I'm interested to see how, not only how the women's team does, but particularly how she does. I predict this could be kind of a moment when the world really turns on to her.
The countdown has begun for the kickoff of UConn football. The 31st of August of this month, they'll be at Maryland. We know about the quarterback competition going on out there to start this season. Gordon Samus, the new offensive coordinator for UConn. Matt Brock, the new defensive coordinator for UConn. Let's start with the quarterback stuff and the offense. Like, what are some of the things that you have noticed, or anything that you can get our listeners excited that this offense is going to be productive and put points on the board?
Well, it looks like Nick Evers, the transfer from Wisconsin, can really make all the throws. Saw him make some pretty impressive throws on the run, off balance, the kind of throws that a quarterback has to make in the modern game. He's very athletic. So he looks like he could be the guy that finally turns this offense around. Of course, you just don't know until if he can keep up with the speed of the game. He hasn't played in a couple of years, but he's been through some big systems at Oklahoma and Wisconsin. And as I had pointed out a couple of last week, normally you get these quarterbacks in the transfer portal, and you might think, well, this is somebody who just couldn't play where he was, or maybe this is somebody that isn't as good as they thought out of high school because he couldn't see the light of day at Oklahoma or Wisconsin. But in this day and age, especially teams that have expectations to win now, it's like free agency. They go out and get a fifth-year guy, and now all of a sudden the guys in their program never get up on the field. So it's very possible for somebody who's really got the ability to fall through the cracks. And I think that's what UConn is certainly hoping here, that this is a guy that if he does what they're hoping he does in the practices and wins the job, which I anticipate he will, can he perform when he has a program willing to kind of give him the keys and let him drive the bus? So I think that's going to be, he looks real good from what I've seen, but we're going to have to see what it looks like when he gets on the field against Maryland. And I think they've also, brought in some receivers that have some credentials, who've not only, played at Power 5 and big schools, but have actually gotten on the field and played there. TJ Sheffield, Skylar Bell. So I think he's going to have some weapons around him. And, Gordon Samus, the offensive coordinator, who had been the offensive line coach, has a track record of being able to develop and build an offensive line, especially an offensive line that can power run the ball. So, I think they've got some of the ingredients there to have a good offensive team. But that's all relative to who you play. You may not see them be nearly as good as they can be against Maryland. You may see them look a lot better than they are against Merrimack. But over the run of their season, especially those 6 home games in a row, mostly group of 5 or lesser Power 5 teams, that's where they got to make their run. So I think some things are in place for them to have a good year, and maybe kind of get back to what they were 2 years ago, go to a bowl game, and most importantly, give the state something that we want to go watch on a Saturday. They have 6 home games in a row. By the end of that run, have some fun Saturdays over there. That's what they had a couple of years ago, and that's what they need to do. Give us a team that's easy to root for, fun to watch.
Talking to Dom Amore from the Hartford Courant. Dwight Freeney was enshrined in Canton, Ohio, in the NFL Hall of Fame. He is from Bloomfield, Connecticut, went to Bloomfield High School here, was a fantastic all-around athlete, 4-sport letterman there. Talk about Dwight Freeney coming out of here, going to Syracuse, and winning a Super Bowl. Now he's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, what a terrific story that was. A guy whose parents didn't want him to play football. They thought he was going to get hurt. So he was a soccer goalkeeper, and he played some baseball and some basketball. So he developed a lot of footwork that maybe you don't associate with football, but sure came in handy once Jack Cochran pulled him off the soccer field and got him on the football team. He really, again, a guy that doesn't have the size people are normally looking for at that position. But, great example, if you have coaches, you remember when the Patriots drafted Teddy Bruschi, when you have coaches who see a, quote, football player and figure out, let's get him on our team. We'll figure out how to use him, how to position him. And that's what Jack Cochran did. That's what Paul Pasqualoni did at Syracuse, and ultimately what Tony Dungy did. They put him in spots where he could do his thing, and boy, he did it as well as anybody when it came to shredding linemen and getting to the quarterback. So great story, and I thought he gave a great speech. Very typical of Dwight. If you've ever met him or talked to him, spent 12 minutes up there and talked about himself for about 45 seconds and gave everybody else credit for the other 11 minutes. So I thought a great day all around. And, I wrote a story about the sculptor a couple of weeks ago, and when they pulled the shroud off, it showed the sculpture, the bust. It was exactly what he had described to me. I thought he did a great job with that. So great day all around, and Dwight will be at the state capitol on Friday, being honored there too. So I'm looking forward to seeing him there.
Any news on why our former yard goat friend, current Colorado Rocky Ryan McMahon, did not get traded at the deadline?
Yeah, I think it was a contract. I think his contract scared a lot of people off. Would have been a good fit for a few teams, particularly the Yankees, who I think need. I think what you're saying. I'm getting off the track a little bit, but I think when you saw Aaron Boone finally yank Gleyber Torres out of the game, it's because he had Jazz Chisholm. He has Jazz Chisholm now to put in. If he loses Gleyber, he loses him. He's got other people to play. Another guy like that would have really helped the Yankees to maybe, give Boone the opportunity to, get on some people and say, hey, if you don't play like a professional, I'm going to take you out because I got somebody else to put in. So I'm a little surprised that the Yankees didn't maybe, make a move there and get him, and irrespective of the contract. But I do believe that the contract scared a lot of teams off.
Well, I think that, and it's been rumored that once Jason Dominguez is healthy 100%, he's going to come up. And that might be the end for Gleyber Torres or Verdugo or somebody else. So that might be in the works why they didn't bring in McMahon.
Yeah, that's very, very true. The only thing I would say is that Dominguez, I think, has played 9 major league games. So, and then now he hasn't played in a year. So it's not like you have a known commodity that you're bringing in, putting in there, and you know what he's going to do. You know what you think he can do and what you hope he can do. So to me, the jury is very much out on that. I mean, based on what he did last year with the 4 home runs in 8-9 games, I'm anxious to see what it looks like when they put him out there. But people have to make sure they temper their expectations. When Stanton comes off the DL, you know what you're getting. When he comes off the DL, you really don't know what you're getting.
Well said. Well said. As always, Dom Amore, one of our favorites. Thank you, buddy, for coming on and talking some different sports with us. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Dom.
Rob, you got it, man, anytime.
All right. Dom Amore, Hartford Courant. Check him out on hartfordcurrent.com. Check him out on X. He does a fantastic job with all the different things that he's covering. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. Dibbles and Bits is next.